Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a video I never thought I would make in a million years. Pushing myself right out of my comfort zone.
Welcome to today's vlog, guys. Not exactly where you would expect to find me, is it? Sat in the middle of a cafe. But today, I'm doing something completely abnormal for me. I'm going to try my hand at street photography. Now, the reason for this is because my van is still off the road and I was bored. So, I needed something to do. It's really grey and miserable. It wasn't set to be this way, but yeah, that's the way it turned out. So this may turn out to be a bit of a bust. Never mind, we're going to give it a go anyway. Now, this is completely out of my comfort zone. I'm not going to lie, sitting in this cafe recording this, I'm very self-conscious. Not sure if the owner isn't eyeing me down or not. Don't know if I should have asked permission. So why street photography? I just figured I'd give it a go and push myself out of my comfort zone a bit. I've seen a couple of others that do it, Ali Davis, Gary Norman, they seem to enjoy it, so I figured I'd have a crack as I've got nowhere else I can be. Can't go off travelling and it's just been gloomy around where I am. Well, it looks like my plan for stealth has been rumbled already. Yeah, even in the cafe, I got spotted as being a vlogger. So, Honor, it was nice to meet you. Hope you're watching this. Okay, well, I did originally have a plan. Quite noisy, as you can tell. It did revolve somewhat around not being howling wind and chucking it down with rain. The plan was to walk from Montpellier in Cheltenham, the top end of town, which is the more trendier end of town, down through the town itself and then off into the lower end of the high street. I figured that gave me a bit of variety. That was the plan. Now, equipment wise, I've only got a 24-200 f4 to 6.3, so that's what I've got to use. Now, that doesn't give me a very shallow depth of field when I'm up close to anything. It's not like I'm carrying a 50mm 1.8, so I've got to work with that, and I'm figuring that I've either got to get a lot of distance between a subject and a background, or vice versa, or just get creative. Now, the camera itself is set into manual mode with auto ISO. That way I can control the shutter speed and I can also control the depth of field should I want to. And I've also set my metering to highlight weighted so that I don't blow out the highlights too much. I'm going to have enough to think about trying to do this for the first time without having to worry about too much my exposure. Right, let's get on it. Right, well, the first thing I've spotted is in that window there's a dog. There's also two men. Hopefully I can pick that up. Let's have a look at that. Well, the dog didn't come out, but I don't think that guy was very happy. What a good start.
In fairness, I'm quite happy with this as it turns out. Got a bit of human interaction in my very first shot. I'm quite chuffed with that to start with, to be honest. So let's move on. Let's see if I can do a little more. I wanted to capture a little bit more than just people within my shots. I wanted to try and highlight the area as well. And I did like the look of this red telephone box, but unfortunately the composition on this, I don't think it stands up. Yes, it's a little bit skewy, and the background's not exactly the best. I've not composed this very well at all. But I do walk off down the alleyway and find myself a little bit of curiosity.
Well, I don't know if that just got caught on the camera, but I spotted a picture of a horse next to a chair, rather random objet d'art. And as I was walking away, I think somebody came to check out on what I was doing. It really feels like you're being very obtrusive. Yeah. Not sure I like this. Well, there we are, we're walking past a calf that I just had the cake in. So, what am I trying to get shot-wise from this? Well, I'm looking just for point of interest, a bit like the last two. But I'd also like to get, I suppose, forms of irony, where you see, I don't know, really skinny posh person stood outside Greg's. Possibly some reflection shots as well, that would be good, but I've not spotted any yet that I find work. I mean, we're in dull flat lighting, so the reflections aren't amazing because I'm not getting any light bouncing off anything. I'm sorry about the traffic noise. It is what it is.
So as we move on to our next location, I try to use the reach of my lens to get me closer to the subjects. Even at 200mm, I don't think this was enough, so I was clearly standing too far away. But I do love the way that this one gives you the mood of the day and tells you that it's only the parents that care. That child's clearly enjoying himself.
Missed it.
So time for a change of approach. Instead of me chasing down the subjects, I figured I'd take up a static position and see if the subjects would come to me. Yeah, missed the first opportunity straight away.
No, you're all right. Now, one of the things that I wanted to try and get a photo of was Neptune's Fountain, which is by the old cinema house from when I was a child. So I was hoping to get somebody walking by or a vehicle going past it and try and get some motion blur. So I've taken up shelter in this shop front doorway. Shop's empty, don't worry. Neptune's Fountain is just over there. So can I get somebody walking by and a bit blurry, or a car pulling up and making that a bit blurry? But I want Neptune's Fountain to be tack sharp, so I can lean against this glass and set my shutter speed to about, I don't know, I'm thinking about a fifth to start with and see how that works. Only trouble is, the cars tend to stop, so I need a car that drives straight through because the traffic lights are on green. Completely missed them. Oh, there's one. Car's not quite central though. We're back to the start. Try again.
So after a few more attempts and a little bit of experimentation, I found a 30th of a second is what worked best for the motion blur. Whether it works in this composition is another matter. But I did like the way that Neptune looks like he's looking down on this guy in the car and going, "What are you doing, mate?"
Well, I've given up on the motion blur side of things, and I'm trying to get now a shot of somebody walking by with an umbrella, just to tell the story of the day, walking past this iconic Neptune fountain, which would be so good if it was actually running. Wrong time of year.
As I was waiting, I grabbed a couple of shots, but with Nothing Feels Like Cheltenham, a windswept, drenched couple walking by. And do you see the police car? Well, I thought I'd try and grab the reflection that came through as I shot through 2 panes of glass. Thought this was kind of ghostly. And then finally, somebody turns up with an umbrella.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
But I was so transfixed on the composition through the viewfinder so that I didn't miss it, that I didn't notice.
Don't stop car, don't stop car, don't stop car, thank you. Come on. Oh, she's gone behind it.
Now I did finally get somebody walking into the frame in the right direction, and it's not too bad, but they're not carrying an umbrella.
Yeah, not too bad, but we did get, oh no, where's it gone? The umbrella shot. Not quite where I wanted it.
I like the way this turned out anyway. After all, who wouldn't want to stand there and admire that six-pack?
Well, there we go. We did get an umbrella shot, and we did get somebody walking into the frame in the right point, but not the combination of both. So, not bad for the first go. Let's move on. Can't stay here all day. I've been here for about half an hour now.
So time to move on to our next destination and see what I can pick up along the way, like this chap here. And of course, the obligatory umbrella. And I also spotted this funky little car. Well, you gotta shoot what you like, haven't you?
I do like this little, very colourful bird sat on top of the telephone box. Something like that. So you can see the telephone, focus on the bird, and just get the separation between the accessorised sign, making sure the telephone is there, and the bird's in focus. Let's have a look. Something like that.
Well, this telephone box was certainly accessorized, but I was shooting in JPEG and not RAW by mistake, so I couldn't convert it back to colour.
So I wanted to come down to this part of Cheltenham. We're right in the centre of the wall now, because there's some iconic sections. Telephone boxes over there, group of 6 red telephone boxes, and another group just down the other end. And then you've also got these two mighty fine people.
Let me introduce you to the Minotaur and the Hare. People in the area either love it or hate it, but there's certainly no denying it's got a presence.
I was hoping to get reflection shots of those. So I think I'm going to come back a little bit later as it gets a bit darker, in the hope that the lights are all lit up on the shops and I can start to get some reflections in this water on the floor. So that's a plan for that. Now I'm soaking wet, I think it's time for me to go and warm up in a coffee shop. Lovely, thank you very much.
So to recap, we've got some points of interest within the area. We've tried our hand a little bit of stealthiness. I've photographed things that have caught my eye, such as that little streetcar that was in the window and this coffee cup. But I am still trying to be stealthy, and they say a picture can paint 1,000 words. Well, what about these 3 pictures? I have no idea what he's showing her on that phone.
Thanks very much.
So with stealth mode fully activated now, I thought that I would try to look as if I'm taking a photograph of super dry. Trying to capture this guy in the corner, and I'd crop in on it. And I managed to get away with that. But to reinforce my narrative, because I was still slightly paranoid, I took a walk around to the other side of the bus shelter and definitely took a shot of the shop window. So let's move on and see if we can get this shot of somebody skinny and posh stood outside of Greg's.
Well, it seems like Greg's is closed. Never mind.
So with my Greg shot out of the window, I decided I would head into the eatery section of the brewery quarter and try and capture some maybe reflections or some nice bright lights. I did manage to get this shot of these youngsters as they walk through, and I quite like this composition. But this is where I started to notice the failings of my setup. I couldn't go as wide as I'd want to because I wanted to get close to subjects. And also, I'm shooting my ISO on occasion up to about 25,600. So a faster lens is definitely needed in low light situations. Now it was at this point that I got caught for my third and final time. A young lady security guard came up and asked me what I was photographing. I told her I'm photographing reflections. I was advised that I probably shouldn't be photographing in there, and I asked, well, what really shouldn't I photograph? And she said, well, the tower, which happened to have this picture of a woman on it, which I got on the way out. So with it being time to move on and the light fading, I thought I'd head back and get the reflection shots of the telephone boxes and the Minotaur and the hare. And whilst I'm on the way, I'll try and capture some more people in a public setting. Right, this is where I noticed the second problem with my setup, and that's the tracking and the focus just really doesn't work well in these low light situations. So I can say that this lens is good if you want to shoot in the day, but in the evening, no, you're definitely going to need to get yourself something that can shoot a lot faster. Well, I didn't manage to get the reflection of the Minotaur that I wanted, but it didn't matter anyway because I missed focus.
Oh, I couldn't get any reflections of the bull itself, so just took a shot of that from low down. I think I'm going to end on these telephone boxes. Now, there's the telephone boxes. I've tried getting closer to them, you don't get any reflection, but coming back this far, you do get some. And it also means I can cut out the two bright lights that are in the buildings on the left, and hopefully get these within the building called Hufkins.
In conclusion, what are my thoughts on street photography? Well, I actually quite enjoyed it when it came down to it. Once you get into the swing of things, you do realise that the public are probably more scared of you than you are of them, and they tend to back away. So yeah, I'd recommend giving it a try, but your camera setup is something that you're going to need to consider. The 24 to 200mm on the Nikon Z7ii, it seemed to work really well during the day, but I did struggle at night, particularly with the focusing and the tracking. So guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's encouraged you to go out and have a go at a bit of street photography. Put yourself out there a bit. I'll catch you guys in the next one.